At 81, the world looks different. The noise that used to deafen me, the social expectations, the career ladders, the constant hum of not being enough, has finally gone silent. I am standing at the finish line, looking back at a race I didn't even need to run. Most people spend their lives building a monument to things that won't matter on their final day. I'm here to tell you that your biggest problems are actually ghosts, and you're wasting your heartbeats on shadows. When you reach 81, the morning air feels different. It's no longer a signal to rush, to check your email, or to worry about the list of chores that didn't get done yesterday. For decades, I woke up with a knot of anxiety in my stomach, a phantom pressure to be more, do more, and earn more. But today, as the sun creeps over those distant peaks, I realize that the knot has finally untied itself. I stopped caring about the hustle because I finally saw the finish line. When you can see the end of the road, you realize that the speed at which you traveled never mattered. Only the view did. We spend our 50s and 60s terrified of losing our relevance. But at 80, relevance is a cage. I have traded the applause of the world for the silence of my own soul. And let me tell you, the silence is much more rewarding. I keep a journal now, not to record my achievements, but to filter my regrets. It's a strange exercise. When I look back at what I stressed about 20 years ago, I can't even remember the names of the people I was trying to impress. Why did I care if the neighbors thought my lawn was perfect? Why did I stay up until 2 a.m. worrying about a presentation for a company that replaced me within a week of my retirement? At 81, the final filter kicks in. You start to ask, will this matter when my breath is thin? Most of it won't. I stopped caring about being right and started caring about being kind. I stopped caring about accumulation and started focusing on elimination. The less I carry, the faster I can walk toward the peace I've always deserved. I remember standing at parties, clutching a glass of wine, nodding at conversations I found boring, all because I didn't want to seem out of touch. I was a prisoner to social status. But the secret of the 80s is that the cool kids are all gone, and the ones who are left are just looking for a warm hand to hold. I stopped caring about my reputation because I realized that people's opinions of me were never about me. They were reflections of their own insecurities. When you stop performing for an audience, you finally get to see the play. You start to notice the way the light hits a glass of water or the genuine sound of a friend's laughter. You realize that status is just a debt you pay to people who don't actually love you. Time is a funny thing. We treat it like a bank account we can always refill until the bank tells us we're overdrawn. I stopped caring about saving time and started caring about spending it. People talk about killing time, but at 81, you realize time is the one thing that is actually killing you. So why not make it a beautiful death? I stopped wearing a watch because the only time that exists is now. The past is a library of lessons, and the future is a mist that may never clear. If you are in your 60s or 70s, you are likely still trying to manage your schedule. I am here to tell you to break the clock. Spend 3 hours watching a bird build a nest. It is a better use of your life than any productive meeting you'll ever attend. The soul is healed by being with children and nature. This realization was the turning point for me. I spent so much of my life caring about complex problems, politics, global shifts, the economy, things I had zero control over. I let those things steal my sleep. Now, I look at a single leaf and see more truth than in any news broadcast. I stopped caring about the big picture and fell in love with the small detail. There is a profound health benefit to this, too. My blood pressure dropped the moment I decided that the world's chaos wasn't my burden to carry. Your heart has a finite number of beats. Don't give a single one to a politician who doesn't know your name or a crisis that hasn't happened yet. The labyrinth of middle age is designed to keep you running. We spend decades navigating the twists and turns of success, thinking that there is a prize at the center of the maze. But at 81, I've realized the walls were always an illusion. I stopped caring about the right path and started caring about the ground I was standing on. When you stop trying to solve the puzzle of your life, the walls begin to melt away. This is the moment of true liberation, the realization that the straightest path to peace is simply to stop running. Many of you are still trying to figure out how to win at retirement or how to leave the perfect legacy. I'm telling you, the legacy is how you breathe right now, not what you leave in a bank account. Letting go of the need for a map is the first step toward finding your home. There is a light we carry within us that often gets smothered by the damp cloth of social obligation. For years, I dimmed my own light to make others feel comfortable, or I spent my energy trying to light the way for people who didn't want to move. I stopped caring about being useful and started caring about being luminous. This is a vital distinction for your health. When you stop trying to be the source of everyone else's heat, you stop burning out. I see so many seniors today exhausted by the demands of their adult children or the expectations of their communities. At 81, I've learned that holding your own light, protecting your energy and your peace, is the greatest gift you can give the world. If you are burned out, it's because you're trying to carry fire that isn't yours to hold. Keep your ember close. I look in the mirror and I see a stranger's hand touching a face I still remember as youthful. The discrepancy used to haunt me. I spent thousands on creams, procedures, and solutions to a problem that wasn't a problem at all. It was just time. I stopped caring about the wrinkles and started caring about the stories they tell. Every line on my face is a chapter of a book I'm finally proud of. Why do we treat aging like a disease when it is actually a victory? To reach 81 is to have survived 1,000 storms. My skin is the parchment on which my life has been written. When you stop fighting the mirror, you reclaim a massive amount of mental real estate. You are not a fading photograph. You are a living masterpiece that is finally nearing completion. In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer. Standing on the vast, quiet salt flats of my own reflection, I've realized that loneliness is just a misunderstood solitude. I stopped caring about being busy or surrounded. In my 60s, a Friday night with no plans felt like a failure. At 81, a day of total silence is a luxury. We are so afraid of our own company because we've been taught that value is measured by our social calendar. But your health depends on your ability to be still. Your nervous system was not built for the constant pinging of modern life. When you embrace the vast horizon of your own mind, you find that you were never actually alone. You were just waiting for yourself to show up. My library is my sanctuary, and it taught me a hard lesson. I stopped caring about knowing everything and started caring about knowing what is true. We live in an age of information overload, where we feel a frantic need to have an opinion on every headline. I realized that 99% of what I was consuming was just digital noise designed to keep my heart rate up. At 81, I choose my input with surgical precision. I'd rather read one poem 100 times than read 100 headlines once. This is about cognitive longevity. If you want to keep your mind sharp, stop dulling it with the trivial. Focus on the timeless. Your brain is a garden. If you plant weeds of gossip and outrage, don't be surprised when you can't find your peace. When you look at a life progress bar and see that you are in the final 15%, a strange thing happens. The urgency to do vanishes, replaced by an urgency to be. I stopped caring about the length of my life and started caring about its width. We are obsessed with longevity, supplements, biohacking, data, but for what? To add 5 more years of staring at a screen? I want my remaining time to glow. I stopped caring about optimal and started caring about meaningful. If a glass of wine with a friend brings me more joy than a green juice alone, I'll take the wine every time. The stress of trying to live forever is irony at its finest. It's the very thing that shortens our stay. Let the light of your final years be bright, not just long. Pruning a bonsai tree requires a steady hand and a willingness to cut away what is beautiful but unnecessary. I've had to do this with my own life. I stopped caring about keeping doors open. In my youth, I wanted every option available. Now, I find peace in the closed doors. I have pruned my friendships, my obligations, and even my dreams. I don't need to go to Paris anymore. I don't need to see my name in a journal. By cutting away the could-be's, I've given the is more room to grow. This is the secret to senior health that no one tells you. Simplify until only the essential remains. A cluttered life leads to a cluttered heart. Focus on the few things that make your soul sing, and let the rest fall to the floor. I spent a weekend cleaning out my attic and found boxes of trophies, certificates, and mementos from a career that feels like it belonged to a different person. I stopped caring about stuff. We spend the first half of our lives gathering things to prove we exist, and the second half realizing those things are just anchors. I watched that beam of light hit the dust, and I realized, the light is the only thing that's real. The junk is just a burden for my children to deal with later. I've started giving it all away now. There is an incredible lightness that comes with an empty room. When you stop caring about your possessions, you realize that you were never the owner. You were just the caretaker. And the caretaker is finally going on vacation. If you look closely enough into a human eye, you see the universe. At 81, I've stopped caring about looking at the world and started caring about seeing it. I used to walk through the park thinking about my taxes or my knees. Now, I look at the fractal patterns in the ice or the way a child's iris shifts in the sun. This shift in perspective is a biological reset. When you move from scanning for threats to observing for beauty, your cortisol levels plummet. Your heart rhythm stabilizes. I stopped caring about the big sights and started finding the infinite in the microscopic. You don't need a plane ticket to see something miraculous. You just need to sit still and open your eyes. Silence is the ultimate flower of the soul. My best friend and I can sit on a bench for an hour without saying a single word. In our 50s, we would have filled that space with talk of politics or health problems. Now, the silence is our conversation. I stopped caring about making a point. I don't need to be understood anymore. I just need to be present. This is the deep comfort of the 80s. The need to explain yourself, to defend your choices, or to win an argument simply evaporates. You realize that most words are just bubbles on the surface of a deep, still ocean. If you can find someone to be silent with, you have found the ultimate wealth. I left my smartphone on the charger for 3 days last week, and the world didn't end. I stopped caring about staying connected to the digital hive mind. We think we are staying informed, but we are actually just staying agitated. The flowers don't need to be liked to bloom, and neither do I. At 81, I am reclaiming my attention. Our attention is our most valuable currency, and we've been giving it away for free to tech billionaires. I've found that my memory is sharper, my sleep is deeper, and my mood is more stable since I stopped caring about the feed. If it's important, it will find me. If not, I'd rather be looking at the wildflowers reclaiming the space where I used to stand. Your heart has been beating since months before you were born. It has never taken a day off. At 81, I've stopped caring about cardio goals and started caring about heart quality. Is my heart open? Is it heavy with old grudges? Is it tight with fear? We focus so much on the mechanics of the heart, the blood pressure, the cholesterol, that we forget the spirit of it. I've found that forgiveness is a better heart medication than anything in a pill bottle. I stopped caring about who won the old family feuds. I called them, I apologized for my part, and I let it go. My chest feels lighter than it did at 40. Your heart knows when you're carrying a heavy soul. Put the weight down. I look at an old wooden table, scarred and stained by decades of use, and I see myself. I stopped caring about perfection. The cracks in the wood are where the character lives. Why do we try so hard to hide our flaws, our mistakes, and our vulnerabilities? At 81, I realized that my mistakes were the most formative parts of my life. The perfect version of me would have been incredibly boring. I stopped caring if I fumbled my words or if I forgot a name. It's the grain of the wood that matters, not the polish. When you accept your own imperfections, you become a safe harbor for others to do the same. This is the true meaning of grace, living without the need for a filter. I walk through the city and see a sea of people looking down at their palms, missing the sky. I stopped caring about fitting in with the modern rhythm. I am an observer now, a ghost from a different time, and I love it. While the world rushes to the next big thing, I am the only one looking at the clouds. There is a profound sense of power in being the only person in a crowd who isn't in a hurry. I stopped caring about the pace of progress. Progress toward what? Most people are rushing toward a destination they haven't even questioned. I've decided to move at the speed of a stroll. My joints thank me, and my soul finally has time to catch up with my body. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. A single red rose in a white room. That is my life now. I stopped caring about variety. I don't need 30 flavors of jam or 50 channels of television. I want one thing that is perfect. One cup of high-quality tea. One comfortable chair. One person who truly knows me. We are sold a lie that more equals better. But in the final decade, you realize that more is just noise. By choosing a minimalist existence, I have amplified the beauty of the things that remain. If you feel overwhelmed, it's not because life is too hard. It's because you have too many things in the way of your joy. Clean the room. Find the rose. There is something deeply healing about putting your hands in the dirt. I stopped caring about keeping my hands clean. I spent too many years in sterile offices, worrying about my suit and my shoes. Now, I want the soil of the earth under my fingernails. Teaching my grandson to plant a seed is more important than any legacy project I ever worked on. It's a reminder that life is a cycle, and I am just one season of it. When you stop caring about your own ego and start caring about the next garden, your fear of death disappears. You see that you aren't an individual separate from nature. You are nature. And nature is never lost. It just changes form. The bridge into the mist doesn't look scary anymore. It looks peaceful. I stopped caring about the afterlife and started caring about the transition. We spend so much energy fearing the end, but the end is just the final note of a long symphony. You wouldn't want the song to go on forever. It would lose its beauty. I have prepared my heart for the mist by making peace with the bridge. I stopped caring about the why and started trusting the is. This trust is the ultimate health hack. When you stop fighting the inevitable, your body relaxes in a way that medicine can't replicate. Walk toward the mist with your head held high. You've earned the rest that lies on the other side. I have an old map on my wall where I've crossed out the destinations. I stopped caring about getting there. Every vacation, every career move, every goal was always about some future point. But the there never actually exists. Once you arrive, it just becomes another here. So, I started focusing on the paths, the meandering, the getting lost, the unexpected detours. I stopped caring if I achieved my daily goals. If I set out to walk to the store, but ended up talking to a neighbor for an hour, I consider that a success. Your life is not a series of checkpoints. It is a long, winding walk. Stop looking at the map and start looking at the pebbles under your feet. A storm can be raging over the lake, but if you dive deep enough, the water is perfectly still. I stopped caring about the weather of my life. There will always be health scares, family drama, and global crises. I spent 60 years trying to stop the rain. At 81, I've learned how to just get wet. Or better yet, how to dive deeper. My inner peace is no longer dependent on the surface conditions. This internal sanctuary is something you must build every day through reflection and letting go. If your happiness requires the world to be good, you will always be miserable. Find the stillness that exists 10 feet below the waves. The storm will pass. It always does. To live is to burn. To die is to become the light. I am burning my old letters, not out of bitterness, but out of release. I stopped caring about holding on to the past. Some people cling to their history like it's a life raft, but it's actually a weight. I've said my thank yous. I've felt my grief. And now I am letting the sparks fly upward. I don't need the paper to remember the love. When you clear out the emotional baggage of your previous decades, you make room for the light of the present. Many seniors are trapped in the glory days. I'm here to tell you that today is the only glory you have. Don't let the smoke of yesterday blind you to the sun of today. Cooking a simple meal is now a form of meditation. I stopped caring about fancy. I don't need the 5-star restaurant or the complex recipe. Give me a fresh tomato, a piece of bread, and a splash of oil. I eat with intention now. I taste every bite. I stopped caring about finishing and started caring about savoring. This has transformed my relationship with my body. When you treat eating as a sacred act of nourishment rather than a chore, your digestion improves, your energy stabilizes, and you feel a profound sense of gratitude. You don't need a banquet to feel full. You just need to be present at the table. Looking through a telescope makes your giant problems look like dust. I stopped caring about my problems. In the scale of the nebula, my arthritic hip and my bank balance are invisible. We are so self-centered in our suffering. At 81, I find great comfort in my own insignificance. I am a tiny speck in a vast, beautiful cosmos, and that is a relief. I don't have to carry the world. I don't have to be important. I just have to be a witness to the majesty. If you are feeling overwhelmed by your life, look at the stars. Realize that you are a part of something so large that your failures don't even register. You are free to just be. I stood at the edge of a canyon and shouted, and for the first time, I didn't care if there was an echo. I stopped caring about feedback. We spend our lives waiting for the world to tell us we're okay, waiting for the like, the promotion, or the validation. At 81, The only person I need to answer to is the woman I see in the mirror. I have found my own voice, and it doesn't need an audience to be valid. This is the ultimate stage of human development, self-authorization. You are the only person who can give your life meaning. Stop shouting into the void hoping for a response, and start listening to the sound of your own heart. It has been trying to tell you the truth all along. My heart rate is 72 beats per minute. Stable. Calm. I stopped caring about excitement. In my youth, I chased the highs, the adrenaline, the romance, the wins. Now, I crave the steady rhythm. Peace is more addictive than any drug once you finally taste it. I stopped caring about new experiences and started caring about deep experiences. I don't need to skydive. I need to deeply understand the person sitting across from me. This stability is the foundation of longevity. When you stop chasing the spikes in dopamine, your system finds its natural equilibrium. You aren't boring, you are balanced. And in a world that is losing its mind, balance is the ultimate rebellion. So here I am, 81 years old, walking into a golden field of wheat. I am leaving behind the cares of the world, and I am traveling light. I stopped caring about almost everything the world told me was important, and in doing so, I finally found everything that actually is. My gift to you is this. Don't wait until you're 81 to use the final filter. Start today. Stop caring about the opinions of strangers. Stop caring about the accumulation of objects. Stop caring about the perfect future. Instead, care about the breath you just took. Care about the person in front of you. Care about the light hitting the wall. I'm waving goodbye now, not because I'm leaving, but because I've finally arrived. Thank you for walking with me.